Hi everyone, this is Carmina. Welcome back to the channel, Your Stars Aligned. I'm an astrologer and reader with the cards of truth. And today we have with us again Vedic astrologer Levi Cosijn. Welcome back, Levi.
Hi, Carmina. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
So,
Yes.
Levi's website is levicosijn.com.
Mm-hmm.
And today we were thinking, because you guys were like in the last video we did together about the chart of Meghan Markle, you were asking us so many questions about compatibility, about marriage, and we thought that we would do another video, this time just focused on marriage, looking at Saptamsha, Navamsha, transits and things like that. And this will be like a small trailer or preview to a class that we're going to be holding this Sunday from 5 p.m. Central European Time. That's France, Germany, and Belgian time. I'm going to post a link down below with Levi's website and also the link to the course if you want to register. And yeah, we already did some other compatibility class. We have some recordings with pre-compatibility, and we're also going to be looking at Kuta and synastry and other stuff later. David, do you want to say something before we begin?
No, thank you for promoting my website. Thank you for that. And also, I think it's interesting. We should look a little bit at, or we're gonna look a little bit at a woman's horoscope. A woman that asked me, she didn't ask me when will I get married, right? But can you look at a good date, because I found my man, a good date for marriage. And so we did, and I think it would be nice to analyze that and see how we went about this. And so we can look at the Rashi chart and her Saptamsha chart, which is the chart of co-creating with another person, right? Mm-hmm. And then also the Navamsha chart, which deals with marriage. But for a woman, it's important to look at Saptamsha and Navamsha. Mm-hmm. As you know, of course, it's important to look both horoscopes. So I think that would be interesting, right?
This video will be a bit technical, like maybe you can share your screen and I can quickly say what we say when we mean aspecting, because in this particular technique, we're not talking about Rashi, about planetary aspects, but about the Rashi aspects. And when we look at transits, we also look at planetary aspects. So the aspects people from Western astrology are used to more.
Yes. Okay, so I'll share my screen.
Yes. It's pretty simple if you look at this layout, because the signs in the corners, which are the dual signs, they aspect each other, and then the fixed and the movable signs. The fixed signs aspect the movables, all the movable signs except the one next to it, and vice versa. So all the movable signs aspect all the fixed signs except the one next to it. So Taurus aspects
Cancer,
yeah,
Libra, and Capricorn.
And not Aries. So that is in a nutshell, because a lot of people were saying, I don't understand what these aspects are. Can you?
Oh, we can go over it. Like, this is the representation of a South Indian chart, right, style. So this is in fact designed to do Rashi aspects, because this is based on direction. We know Rashi aspects are based on direction, right? So this is the east, the north, the west, and the south. So a movable sign in the east is going to Rashi aspect a fixed sign in the north, in the west, and in the south, right?
So it's going to be signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn.
And Capricorn. So they're going to Rashi aspect the fixed signs, except the fixed sign next to it, as you mentioned. So Aries is not going to aspect Taurus. All right. And then a fixed sign in the east is going to Rashi aspect a movable sign in the north, in the west, and in the south. Right. Except the movable sign next to it, which is Aries. So Taurus is going to aspect Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn.
With
Okay.
dual signs, it's so easy because they all aspect each other.
Yes, and the corners are indicated. The dual signs are here in the corners. They aspect each other. Yes.
Yes.
So, and the ascendant is always indicated here with these two lines here. So the South, Indian chart style is always, Aries is always here, Taurus is always there. So the signs are always in the same place, and the ascendant is marked by these two lines here. So this is an ascendant Leo at 2614 Leo, and so on. So.
So we will be looking at the chart of this lady who was going to get married, and we're going to see the factors in the Vargas, in the divisional charts. And during the webinar, we'll be looking at example charts with the participants' charts. That's always fun to interact with the people there and go over their charts.
Yes, it's maybe good to note that this woman asked me, like, she knew she wanted to get married. The husband said yes, and she said yes to the husband, and so everything was set, and so it was not like a serious question. Didn't ask me when I get married. It was just like, just look at a favorable time because we really want to get married around springtime and so on. And so it was kind of fun to do, and it's quite, if you see what is happening, so many things align, and it's always nice to see that confirmed in the horoscope. And so they got married on the 26th of May 2018, and it was a very nice happening. Everything went very well, and so we can see now a little bit how we came about this.
Yes.
So. Yes, well, she was running the Saturn Sun Dasha, okay? Saturn is, of course, the 7th Lord, which relates to relationships, and the Sun is the 1st Lord, which is the 7th from the 7th. So in the Rashi chart, we have some indications, right? Also, if we look at the padas, we can look at, Saturn is the Dharakaraka, for example, which is the indicator of spouse. And then if we look at
the Upapada,
for example, or if you look at Chara Navamsha, which is a Gemini Rashi Dasha, okay, then she was running a Cancer Libra, and Cancer has the Upapada in it, right? It also has, what does it have here? It has the 8 Scorpio Pada as well, so nothing more here. And then Libra has Sagittarius Pada, which is the Pada of the 5th house cusp, right? Which is, can have a marriage connotation because it's the 9th from the 9th.
And it's also like the party of the marriage, I think, connotation.
Yes. And then also what is it here? The Capricorn Pada, which is also the 7th Pada. Okay, this is in the Rashi chart. There's some other indications, perhaps, if you look at Saturn's condition, because he's running Saturn Sun Dasha, so Saturn is in its own sign there. It's the Dharakaraka. It has some manifestation of a manifesting influence from Jupiter. Doesn't really, besides the fact that it's the Dharakaraka, it doesn't really rule the 9th or the 5th house cusp or anything. But it has some manifesting influence from Jupiter, of course.
So her Saturn return brought her a husband.
Now they've been in a relationship for 5 years, almost 6 years now. And so it was the time. So, and it would happen in the Saturn Sun Dasha. So, Saturn is the 7th Lord, which is all about relationships, of course. So it has some, and it's important to look at 7th house and 9th house affairs, of course, right?
Maybe because it's Saturn, that's why it helped delay the marriage a bit.
Yes, and there were some delays. I think that her husband...
also the 6th cusp of obstacles, right?
Obstacles. They had to deal with a lot of stuff. They also had 2 kids. Like one kid was born last year, so a lot of things to take care of. And also the husband wanted to ask her like twice before that time. I think he asked her like 2 months before or something like that, or 3 months before, I'm not sure. And so there was some
delay and obstacles, like 6th house connotation, upachaya.
Taking a lot of responsibility also in terms of her work, because the Sun and Saturn here are just, if you look at the Avasta screen, Sun and Saturn are influencing each other. So Sun is the first lord about her life path, right? And then Saturn being the sixth of taking care of, the daily struggle, we could say. And you see also that Saturn is Rashi aspecting the first house. So she had some difficulty with finding that path. I was saying, what I'm going to do, what I need to do is have to, want to express my creativity. Because she went to university and she has a diploma and everything. So, but you have to survive, right? So finding out what her path is, what her dharma is, and trying to align that, trying to manifest that. And so it's been challenging in that regard as well. And you see that Saturn Sun, they're in a 6th, 8th position here. So it indicates some affliction, right? Some in terms of fulfillment, which is of course the first house, and also in terms of she can felt like tired and lack of vitality perhaps, and having to cope with life with 2 kids and the struggle of life, right? So but Saturn in the 6th house is considered, especially in good dignity, is good, right? Because in any
house.
yes, in the 6th it's really improving, it's trying to improve. And and she's tough, she's tough. And so but Saturn Sun will bring some challenges as well. Okay. All right. So so we have some indications here in the Rashi chart, right? So now if we look a little further, there's quite some indication in the Rashi chart, in fact, right? If you look at it, importantly, Dharakaraka, 7th Lord, and also some padas here, when we look at the chara Navamsha and so on. So then if we look at the Saptamsha chart, which is important because it's, of course, the divisional chart that deals with creating our dynasty or co-creating with another person, right? Feeling in love with your partner, and also children, of course. And what we see here is, quite nice. Also, I have to mention that this horoscope has been rectified also. Like this, we're very close to the hour. Like we're definitely within a minute and a half. Oh. That's how far we get now. So that's quite nice, right? In terms of Saptamsha, it's going to be quite accurate, and Navamsha too. Okay, and then also if you see like later on in the trigger transits, it's going to be clear in the Shashtyamsha as well. Okay, and the other relevant divisional charts. So Saturn, of course, rules the first house, which is they have 2 kids, and they got their kids all in the Saturn dasha. So
can you pull up the padas for the Saptamsha as well?
Yes.
I think that would be interesting. I see that her Dharakara.
It's super clear.
It's Cancer with Ketu in the Saptamsha. So maybe fated meetings.
You're looking at the chara Navamsha, right? Cancer, Libra. Yes. Cancer has the Dharakaraka, right? Also, yeah, so we have Libra. Libra is has the moon. It's not really, triggered. It rules the Dharakaraka here, but it has the Capricorn pada, which is the first pada, which is important in the Saptamsha. Then it has Leo pada, which has the 7th pada, right? So it's very clear, and it also has a 9th pada, so it also has that marriage connotation. See, and also it has Cancer pada, so there's a lot of connection. So Libra and Cancer definitely have an agenda, right? They definitely have the potential to create that. Yes. And so I'll put up the dignities here as well. So, and if we, flip back to the Vimshatri stuff, we have Saturn Sun. Saturn is in a neutral dignity. It's in a dead state, and it's sleeping or slumbering, right? It's also in the 6th house. So again, we have that 6th house connotation. So there's going to be some struggle involved in bonding and feeling connected. And in fact, the partner was really, had a lot of doubts before really jumping into the sea, we could say, but he did, and it's a really good transformation that was going on. So Saturn, 8th house stuff, because the sun is in the 8th here, right? So it's Saturn's sun, so the sun is in an enemy's dignity, but it's in a Kumara state, so it means it's in a youth state. Yes. And it's sleepy. Okay, so
it still gives.
It still gives. It's important. The Saptamsha is important because the first cusp and the 7th cusp are important. In each divisional chart, there's two important cusps, right? First of all, in the Saptamsha, the D7 chart, the seventh cusp is important, which indicates the spouse, right?
And the important planet is Jupiter, right?
And Jupiter is an important planet, and the seventh cusp is relates to conception, right? Because the Saptamsha chart is also dealing with children. So before we can have a child, there needs to be conception, right? So seventh cusp always deals with conception.
Children, and you were saying that there is a lot of transformation, and I see there the sun, which is the Putra Karaka, so children indicator is in the 8th. So maybe having the children help them transform their relationship somehow. I mean, it was very important for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I also think we'll see how it plays out, but I think there's going to be a pregnancy unexpected, which can be the 8th lord, the 7th lord in the 8th. Because it has
with the 8th cusp and the 5th cusp. So
yes, and so sun has a manifesting potential because it rules the 7th cusp of conception, right? It also has, okay, we're talking about children here, but it also relates to bonding with your partner, right? For her. And so it has both connotations. And of course, there's children, so it's indicated. But also look at the manifesting influence to the sun. So the sun itself has potential, so it can take care of its own house cusp, right, which is conception. But it also has a strong aspect from a manifesting Jupiter from its own sign, and also from Mercury, which is the lord of the sun, right? So it's a double influence, a manifesting influence, and then also Venus. So we have the three benefic and manifesting influences onto the sun, which is, of course, co-creation. So that's a strong
aspect of the relationship of her, also of their interaction, I guess.
Of their interaction, of the bonding,
and so dynasty, like you said.
Creating the dynasty, yes. So pregnancy could happen. So I think it's going to happen. I think she's probably going to. Because they don't really want it now because they already have 2 kids and it's already a lot, right? So, but it could happen with the sun here in the 8th house and with all this manifesting influence to it. So let's see how that plays out. So if it plays out, I'll let you know and we can
do another video.
We can cheer,
Okay.
So we have the Saturn sun, right? So Saturn is also manifesting its own cusp here, which is the first cusp, which is the 7 from the 7. So it's going to be important also in the Saptamsha, of course. And then the sun is, of course, as I mentioned, has all this manifesting influence, right? Saturn is not really separated. It's not really in a great dignity. On its own, it can't really manifest, but it does manifest its own house cusp on account of Rashi aspecting its own house cusp, right? So that would be definitely a manifesting influence. Okay. And then also, we mentioned then the cusps, the padas. You see something more, or
I think maybe we should move to the Navamsha.
Okay, so Navamsha. So in Navamsha, it's really clear. It's pretty clear. So we have Saturn sun.
Yes.
Saturn is in its own sign here in Capricorn. It's strong. So it means it's capable of manifesting. It's the Darakaraka, right? So on that account, I'm saying, right? So also we are in the Saturn sun dasha. We see that the sun is ruled by Saturn, so they are connected. They have an agenda, right? So, and the sun rules the 5th house cusp, which is the 9th from the 9th, and has a marriage agenda. Okay.
Yeah, and also an 8th house agenda of transformation here as well. The sun, Saturn.
Yeah. Yes, it's conjuncting that 8th house cusp. But most importantly, in terms of manifesting, because the sun is not in a good dignity and it's not really capable of manifesting because it's in an old state and it's sleeping, slumbering. But it has an exalted Jupiter, manifesting that sun, which is the 5th lord, which is the 9th from the 9th, so which has a marriage agenda. So Jupiter can manifest the sun, and marriage is absolutely possible, right? And Saturn is strong. It's the Darakaraka. And so it doesn't mean that the Darakaraka is in its own sign. You can't say that, you know what I mean? But it is a Darakaraka. It's Saturn in its own sign, which we have to kind of separate. You know, we can't really, you know what I mean? Like we can't look at the dignity of the Darakaraka, we could say, but
Yes.
it is manifested by Mercury, and it is aspected by Venus from its own sign and a waning moon. I think the moon is waning, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's waning. So, but it has this manifesting influence as well.
But
Okay,
Venus,
so
which is the Karaka of the Navamsha, is very well dignified, and it's with a friend, and it's with a 10 and 7, and I think that helps tremendously.
yes, you see that the Karaka has been exactly, and it has Jupiter aspecting, has Mercury aspecting, and also Saturn from its own sign, which is always going to separate in the best possible way, we could say, right?
So Venus here is not only the Karaka for the Navamsha, it's also her Atma Karaka, so double.
It's also Atma Karaka, and also if you look at the Rashi chart, she has like the 7th Lord in the 6th, which is a divorce yoga. Okay, so it has some, but it has Jupiter aspecting, also Rashi aspecting, but also planetary aspecting, kind of protecting that 7th Lord. I would say, and it's also a strong 7th Lord. And then if you look at Navamsha, it looks pretty solid, I think, you know. So they're going to have their ups and downs. If you look at the house placements also in the Saptamsha, like here Saturn and Sun are in 3rd, 11th position from each other, and so on. Sun is in the 8th. So there's going to be some up and down, like, you know, life is like that. But I think it looks pretty promising. Also, if you look at the Lajitadi Avastas, her Avastas are really nice.
The Sun in the Upapada doesn't harm the Upapada in the Navamsha.
Yes. Also, if you look at Chara Navamsha, you see Jupiter exalted in Cancer. And also Cancer is the 9th sign. You see, it's a 9th sign, so it has a marriage connotation. It has Jupiter in it, which is the natural Karaka for spouse. Then it has Scorpio Pada, which is the 1st Pada, and then Libra, because it was on 26th of May this year, right? So they got married. And then Libra has, of course, the 9th cusp, and Capricorn Pada, which has the Pada of the Darakaraka, we could say.
Yes, I think when they got married, Venus was in Cancer. So I don't really
like in transit. Yes.
That's interesting.
Exactly.
The sign of Cancer is very highlighted for her. I mean, we talked about it in the Rashi, Saptamsha, Navamsha.
Yes. There's a lot of 9th house things coming up. It's the 9th Rashi from the ascendant here. Libra has the 9th cusp as well. We have Jupiter as the natural indicator. What else do we have? We have the Pada of
the nodes
Darakaraka.
I don't see the nodes like really influencing or aspecting.
But we can see it, we can look at it in the transits, like how the node, because when an important event happens in transit, then the nodes should be involved on some level. So we can see how that plays out. I think
she's going to have fulfillment with her husband because both her Darakaraka and Jupiter, which are the significators for the husband, are well dignified here. So
yes, they're quite, it's a nice couple, you know, but you never know. But the horoscope indicates some positive influence, some strength there.
Do you want to
also in the
yes.
No, I was just going to say, like, because you said like that 9th house stuff, also in the Saptamsha, like Libra is the 9th house from the ascendant. So that's also like interesting. And if we look at the Darakaraka is what is it here? The Darakaraka is Saturn, and so the 7 from Saturn is also ruled by Saturn, right? So we also have there's some other indications and agendas for definitely for a relationship event, an important one. Now it's quite difficult to predict marriage because there can be so many things happening in respect to your dharma, because the Navamsha chart is of course not only the chart of marriage, but it's your purpose, right? And your responsibility. So it's a difficult one. So I was, if people ask when I'm exactly going to get married, it's quite nice. It's good to see like the most favorable time, right? Sometimes it's really hard to see if it's not really clear, but sometimes people have like these charts that you can just see it, everything leads to it. But it's a very tricky thing. It's my experience to actually predict it. Okay.
But from an elective point of view, from an electional point of view, Jupiter was well dignified. It was in a natural friend sign in Scorpio when they got married, so that should be auspicious for them, just for like a muhurta electional astrology comment. Yes. Can we look at maybe the transits, and maybe if we have time in the end, maybe at the cards of truth too? I'm curious to look at.
We can definitely look at the cards of truth. I'm very interested. So I'll just quickly go over. It's quite easy to see, actually.
So you're
using if you know it.
Aspects, the Graha, Rashi, Tajika, trines, and transiting to transiting. Yes.
We're going to do all of those. What is it? It was the 26th of May, 2018. It was near, and yeah, I'll just put 10 p.m. or something.
It's good enough.
Yes. Okay, so that what was going on here in her chart. Okay, so let me pull up the Saptamsha and Navam. There's going to be a lot of charts here, Navamsha, and then Shashtyamsha. We also should have some
confirmation. Yeah, with the
like yeah, like you mean like the like the Kavedamsha and the Akshavedamsha. Like the Kavedamsha is for auspicious events, inauspicious events. Akshavedamsha is like a purpose, like how strong, how important it is actually to put the person on the path of Dharma, like a strong, purposeful event, which is seen from the Akshavedamsha, which is a D45 chart. So I'll pull these up later, okay?
Yes.
You can just, yeah.
Confirm.
So what was going on? So we have to know her Atmakaraka is Venus.
Yes.
Her Lagna Lord is the Sun. These are the self factors. Sun is always a natural self factor, so it's always going to be important.
Yeah.
If it relates to
double important.
Excuse me?
I said for her it's double important because it's also her Lagna Lord.
It's exactly. So Venus and Sun, right, are going to be important, and then the Darakaraka is Saturn, which is important, and also the seventh Lord here is Saturn. So that's quite easy. And of course, we need the ninth cusp involved, the ninth Lord involved, which is Mars, right here, which is in Aries. So let's look at, let's first look at Navamsha, like the actual, like marriage, like we would consider, more important for marriage, but both are important, right? But especially for a woman, because Jupiter is the Karaka for the Saptamsha, and Jupiter is, of course, the natural indicator of husband for heterosexual women. So, yeah, so what is going on here? So we need to look at a Rashi transit, right? Like a transit in a Rashi chart, because the Rashi chart is the path that the individual is on. So it has to be triggered somehow in the Rashi chart first. And so we see that the Sun, which is the Lagna Lord, is trining Mars, the ninth Lord. So that's perfect. We don't need to look further than that, okay? We could look at all the Rashi aspects and so on. We also have Venus, at Makaraka, Rashi aspecting, planetary aspecting the seventh Lord, and also the Darakaraka, right? So it's like, this is perfect.
But that ninth Lord aspecting her Lagna Lord is really...
It's like super. And also we have Venus trining Mars, the ninth Lord. So the Atmakaraka is also trining the ninth Lord again. So it's quite...
Double whammy. Double whammy.
Double whammy. Also, Jupiter is on her fourth cusp. Fourth cusp is always important in terms, woman wants to create a, family more anchored to the home, like home in the sense of finding her spot, right? Her anchor.
Of mind.
So that's all definitely not going to disturb anything, right? It's also like kind of trining Venus here. What else is happening? Also, we have Jupiter. We have the seventh Lord and Jupiter involved. That's not really telling too much. So also we have Venus aspecting Mercury. So I think that's enough to pull in the Rashi chart, right? To confirm.
Saturn within 8 degrees.
Yes, also. Okay, so then Navamsha, we have to have the ascendant lord involved or the ninth cusp involved, right? These are important points in the Navamsha chart, and we're going to need to pull it in the Rashi chart. So, and then we see that Mars is the first cusp, so Mars is involved here in that trine with the ascendant lord, and also the natural indicator of self, the sun, and so on, and the other indication of the Atmakaraka trining, that first lord in the Navamsha chart.
Mm-hmm.
And then Venus is the ninth lord. And what is Venus doing? Venus is, opposing it's aspecting the Darakaraka, right? Which is important. And so that's also sealed. And also Venus, of course, is trining the first lord. So we have a perfect Navamsha chart involved. Like the first lord Mars is trining the ninth lord Venus from the Navamsha chart into the Rashi chart.
Yeah, and Venus is also the seventh lord.
And Venus is also the seventh lord. And what is it doing here? No, it's not really doing here in the Saptamsha. So here we have the Saptamsha involved because Saturn is is again opposing or aspecting the Atmakaraka Venus. Mm-hmm. So we have Saptamsha already happening. And then the sun is, of course, the seventh lord, which is doing the same stuff here, which is trining Mars, the ninth lord in the Rashi chart, and so on. See? It's quite perfect. And then, of course, most importantly, we need Shastyamsha involved, which is Jupiter is the first lord, which is, again, is the ascendant lord of the divisional chart is going to be important, and the relevant house cusp. Here it's going to be the ninth lord as well. And of course, which is Jupiter, and Jupiter is Rashi. What is Jupiter doing here? So is Jupiter really doing something here? It's Rashi aspect, and it's a Darakaraka. Yeah, so it's a Darakaraka.
Yeah.
So Jupiter is Rashi aspecting the Darakaraka.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's look at the sun, which is the ninth lord in the Shastyamsha chart, is doing, of course, all this stuff to the Rashi.
Lagna lord, yeah.
So it's quite perfect. So we have all these divisional charts involved. Then to see if it's an auspicious event, we need to look at the Kavadamsha chart, which is the D40 chart, inauspicious or auspicious events, and also the D45 chart, as I mentioned, which is important, which is also a ninth divisional chart, right? So it has to do with purpose and being strong on the path, right? Purposeful events, strengthening that purpose.
Exalted Venus.
Exalted Venus, Jupiter in its own sign.
Very nice.
Saturn debilitated. But yes, there's some good stuff going on here as well. So the first lord is Mars, right? So we have Mars involved as well, trining the the Lagna lord.
Yes.
And then the ninth lord Venus is also a part of the equation again.
Yes.
So we have that involved, and the Karaka for the Akshavadamsha chart is the sun also. So that's also important. And then in the 40 chart, the important cusp is going to be the fourth house cusp, which is Venus, which is also connected. It's, by the way, also connected to Jupiter. Jupiter can always give.
Yes, it's a manifester.
It's a manifester, so it pulls in that one as well. And also, what is it? Saturn here is the first lord, which is, aspecting the Atmakaraka. And the moon is the important planet in is the Karaka for the D40 chart. So I don't know what the moon is doing here. Yeah, so the moon is getting full. See?
Yes. I saw that in the Saptamsha moon was in Libra as well.
Was in Libra as well? Yeah. So what is the moon doing here during that day? Probably is going to do some...
It's going to join Jupiter, which is nice.
Yes. And also you can look at these transits like a day before, a day after, especially for a marriage, which is a traditional, in many cultures, they have like 3-day parties or something, 3-day festivity, even longer. So, so we'll find some transit here. It's going to go over Jupiter here, the Karaka, and it's going to be a full moon, and it's going to be Rashi aspecting and planetary aspecting a bunch of these important planets. So Yeah, so
it's quite clear from this chart that it was going to be an important day for her.
Yes, looking at the trigger transits, which is so important. And also, by the way, this is what we use when we rectify horoscopes, like birth times. Mm-hmm. We need to find a way to make it as mathematically, well, perfect is not the word, but as perfect as possible.
As aligned as possible.
As aligned as possible, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's the best technique, right? So it's such an important technique, and
especially in the higher vargas, if you get the D45, the D60 with like important life events, if they don't match, then their time is wrong. So rectification is really important. I know Levi offers birth chart rectification. You can hold on to this, right?
It's a difficult one, rectification, because you have to have a lot of events happening, really, like, to really nail it down. So it's a lot of work.
You have to have many events to the day, not say, oh, maybe that month I was doing. I mean, you can zoom in with those events, but you need like the exact date for many different types of events from different areas of your life. So that we can see it lines up. Before we maybe can you pull up the cards of truth, because I'm curious.
Absolutely, yeah, I'm curious too. So see how it aligns.
Can you open the Queen quadration? Yes, and age 30 and the 7-year quadration. Okay, so she's a Jack of Diamonds, this person. Eight of Hearts, the Sun, the Darakaraka is Saturn, is in a Queen of Hearts. Okay, so her spouse will be very nurturing and mothering because her spouse is on a Queen of Hearts, and it's also connected to the age.
Actually, he is like he's a very nurturing kind of guy. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's see. At the age of 30, in the 7-year spread, we see a King of Spades, and we see the 4th and the 9th cusp, and the 4th cusp relates to home, and the 9th cusp relates to marriage, and the King of Spades relates to long-term changes, and especially on the Mars card is like overcoming limitations, like overcoming some crisis situations, some difficulties, like really putting an end to it. And this will have like long-term effects for many, many, many years. So
yeah, this is exactly what happened. As I mentioned before, so he wanted to ask his, wife. He wanted to ask her twice before. He dared to, so it was a lot of transformation going on, and Pluto, surrendering to the whole process.
Can you see that Pluto is there, which purified the relationship? And I think she also had some ego lessons, like she had to let go of some things consciously, because Pluto is there, and Pluto is also connected to the four of clubs, which can be having some stability with your inspiration, either with her career or finding a home that she's inspired with, because the 4th cusp is also there. So
they're looking for a home right now, actually. Yes. So yeah.
So let's see also her year. So she got married. Oh, can you pull up last year, because she got married at age 29. Can you close from the X?
This one?
Yes, no, the other one. Age. No, go back to the arrow, like the arrow on the left from the age, the other arrow.
Oh, this one? Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
one. 29.
29, yeah. Now I see it.
Okay, so let's see. So her spouse is the Queen of Hearts, and it's related to the Ace of. Okay, so let's see. When she got married was in a King of Diamonds. So yeah, so she's running a King of Spades as well, like in the 7-year quadration between February and April. So she got the proposal, the one that she accepted, between February and April?
I think something, it would be probably around February. I'm not really sure exactly when it was.
Yes, because we see, yeah, we see there Jupiter, which is the husband. Let's see what Saturn is doing. Well, I guess like her, I should see her husband's birth card, because her husband's birth card should pop out in her chart as well. I don't know what it is, but I see that she's got on the Rahu card, she's got the Two of Hearts. So like working on couple issues and being together, and it can be pretty confusing, like intimacy. The Two of Hearts is like being together with the spouse,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And that was pretty confusing for them maybe last year for a while. And also I can see the Ten of Hearts on the Pluto card. So this is like working on sentimental affairs, like on romance. It's a process, and also being purified. But I'm sure that if I see if I would see his birth spread and I would see his self factors, he would be here in her chart. But anyway, we see that King of Spades, which is a fixed card, so it's a very important change with the ninth cusp. And we see it here in the year as well. So I think that's already pretty good. Let's see her ninth cusp card.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, very nice. Thank you for sharing this example. Oh, also, if you look at her age 28 in the 7-year spread, you see the Queen of Hearts, which is her 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 spouse card, because it has the 7th cusp and Saturn, her Darakaraka, in it.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it's going to be interesting. Probably because that Sun card goes into the age 31. So I think she's going to have some financial opportunities next year. So she's going to do well financially. We'll see.
Oh, I'll just I'll tell her for sure.
Okay.
She'll love to hear that.
Thank you for sharing. I guess we will be ending for today. And if you can stop sharing the screen, maybe if you want to say
Yes.
something else.
No, I think we did it's quite technical what we demonstrated here, right? So I think it's nice to go over it and see how it aligns. And I think when we do the webinar on Sunday, we're going to take it really slowly, and we're going to look at the Rashi, Saptamsha, Navamsha charts.
Yes.
Also, we're going to look at some passion combinations, which are important too, and some how do we implement them with the dashas and the Rashi dashas, which is of course a lot to take in, but it's good to have some outline and to see how it works, and then gradually work your way through it, right? As you do. So
that's
yeah.
wonderful. Yes, and as I was saying before, on Sunday when we have our class, I'm going to post the links down below. We are going to be also looking at the participants' charts for illustration purposes. And also, I wanted to mention Levi and I will be doing a live Q&A session next week. We don't know the day exactly. We're going to see how we can synchronize our schedules, but you'll have to subscribe to my channel and push the bell button so you can be notified when the live comes in. So if you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up, and that will let me know that you like this type of videos and that you want me to keep doing these videos. So Levi is still here in spirit and with voice.
Yeah, I lost my camera here.
I'm going to say goodbye from the both of us. Thank you for watching, and hope to see you during the class and next week for the live Q&A session. Okay, this was Carmina. Check out yourstars.align.com, and for Levi, levicosijn.com. See you later. Bye.
Thanks, Carmina.